All right, well, welcome back. What we're going to do now is one of the key ingredients for any good eggplant parmigiano is tomato sauce. So really what most people would be used to in terms of tomato sauce is buying something like this. Not going to show you the logo. No. So what most people would do is buy something like this or buy something even worse. Look,
I'm one of those, so...
Look, we always keep a couple of cans of this in our pantry. There's nothing wrong with it. It's better than buying that pre-made tomato sauce that comes out of a can. At the very least, out of a bottle.
Names of which we, again, won't say.
Yes.
Reguletto.
But what you can do, at the very least, if you don't have time, is use this, stick it straight in a pan, mulch it down, and really get it going to make a tomato sauce. But let's face it, it's not that tasty.
No.
What I would do with my wife's family once a year is we would crush 600 kilos of tomatoes, or thereabouts.
Where the hell do you get 600 kilograms? You said 600 kilograms. 600
kilograms.
Where do you get 600 kilograms of tomatoes?
You buy it from the Paraka food markets or Torrens Island, which is pretty much where we get it from. You buy them cheap. The thing you want for sauce is you don't want an unripe tomato. What you want is one which looks a bit funky. It's got its little bits on it. It actually needs to be a bit overripe, because at the end of the day, all you're after is the flesh. You're not after appearances. See? It's a beautiful tomato. It's overripe, it's soft. But as I said, all you want is the flesh. So what we would do, if the tomatoes we get are underripe, we'll stick them out in the sun until they get a bit overripe. If they're a bit rotten, you just chop off the rotten bit. It's still good to go, because at the end of the day, you're going to boil it. We crush it down, stick it into bottles like this, with some basil and some salt, and it'll do you for years and years and years. What we want to show you today is, if you don't have time to crush 600 kilos of tomatoes,
and who doesn't really,
and you don't want to go for tomatoes out of a can, we'll show you what they do in Italy, because most houses in Italy are pretty small and don't have backyards, so they tend not to crush 600 kilos of tomatoes. They will make it daily on their stove. It doesn't take very long. So what we've got here, George, is
3 kilograms of tomatoes.
3
Roma.
3 kilograms of vine-ripened Roma tomatoes. They're a bit funky. This is a good thing. You actually buy them as seconds. They're cheaper. Cost you about $1 a kilo.
They were very cheap, weren't they?
They are very cheap. So what we're going to do is we're going to bung these into some boiling water until the skins crack. You really want to sort of get them piping hot, and that's just so that you can mince them better. And then I've got one of these machines. You can buy these machines at any good Italian grocer. I picked this one up at Marino's in the market. I think it cost $9.99.
What's it called if you're going to ask for one of them?
It's called a...
Tomato thingy.
Tomato thingy. You can't miss them. It's... I'll get back to you on what it's called, but it's it does have an Italian name.
The Tomaterator.
I think it's
El Tomato?
Passatarina or something like that.
That sounds about right.
But passata is tomato sauce. Passatarina, I think, sounds about right for crushing it.
That sounds like the name of the chick who crushes the tomatoes.
No, that's just simply I don't know. I can't come up with a funny Italian name on the spot. And then all it does is it sits on top of a pot to capture it, and all it does is it separates the, you get the sauce underneath, and you get the seeds and the skin and anything you don't want on top.
Let's stop talking about it and do it.
Sounds good. Alright, so our water is now boiling. We've got our 2 kilos of tomatoes. What you want to do is just bung them straight in. There's no science behind this. Just make sure you don't burn your hand. You also don't want to stick perhaps too many in at the same time, because it'll ultimately cool down the water and it'll take ages for it to cook, and you can only pass so many of them through the passarino at the same time. So I've got about half in there for the time being. We'll let those go. We'll come back to you shortly once the skins have cracked and the flesh is soft.
Okay, if you can see those splits in the tomatoes, that's a pretty good indication that they're pretty much ready to go through the passarino.
There's only one passarino. There's only one passarino. There's only one passarino. And look, the reality is that you you can't really overcook these. You know, it's far better to have them well and truly smushy than to undercook them, because it's going to be exceptionally hard to pass them through if they're undercooked. All right, so we've got our boiled tomatoes, beautifully nice and soft. We've got our passarino.
He's been practicing that.
I have. George is now going to put his tomatoes into my passarino. George is also going to choke on his beer.
Yeah, alright. So so this shouldn't be too hot now, should it?
Yeah.
It'll still be hot?
Oh, hold on.
Okay, what?
Let's just do this.
See, he didn't tell me that I was going to do that. That's fine. See, next time it's going to be... That's what I was doing.
Yeah, well, come on, spoon it in.
Stop talking about spooning. Alright, so how many at a time can you put in?
Really, that's probably it. It tends to be quicker if you just
don't overfill
it. So then all you want to do is you want to spin it around and around and around.
Oh yeah, it's just starting to come through now. It's actually, yeah, it's already looking like a paste.
It's pretty quick.
It is, but
you might need to get a spoon every now and then and just, you know, sort of make sure it all gets in there. I mean, the other thing you can do is chop these up before you stick them in.
Okay.
But there's really not that much point to it.
That actually looks delicious. Is there anything you can do with the tailings, the wastage, the leftovers?
Don't put them on your garden.
Okay.
If you do, you'll get tomatoes,
of course.
All right.
So you need a few more, or how do you know when it's done? Or pretty much you just be left with skins?
Oh no, you keep chucking them in. You don't throw the skins out. You just keep chucking them in when you've got enough room for more. So
a few more tomatoes now.
A few more tomatoes would be fantastic. Just load them in and then.
A bit of a break. Ouch! That's hot.
Yes, it is hot. And then we'll just check the other tomatoes because we might need to pull them off.
Okay.
Nah, they're alright.
Alright.
Yeah. Just be careful you don't... When you are poking them, they can be full of very hot water.
Yeah, good
so
point.
don't just watch out that they don't just...
Don't do what I just did. See, Nathan cares about you, not me. He didn't bother to tell me.
That's a fair call. I thought it was far better for you to learn by experience. George's experience.
When I've got singed eyeballs. Oh, so it goes, it's multi-directional, is it? No. It seems to be you're going the wrong way. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
Were you really?
That's a lot easier now. Alright, so what we've got here is we've got the last of the tomatoes going through. You can see that there's still a lot of seeds, a lot of skins, but there's also still a lot of pulp. You can still see the sort of the glistening. I mean, when it's really done, it looks very dry. It should look like there's almost no liquid or flesh left in there. And once we've run this through, I'll show you what you get for it. So if we look underneath, if I can get this passarino off, I'll just scrape the last of the sort of, as you can see, that's really thick. The last of that off.
Okay.
And what you've got, you've got a beautiful sauce. Look at that. Beautiful fresh tomatoes. And what I'll do now is I'll stick this straight onto the heat so that we can get some of that water off. And what we'll end up with is a fantastic sauce which we can use in our eggplant parmigiano.